Hello. Oh. Hello, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. If this is your first time here, my name is Marshawn Daniels. I am a reinvention strategist. I help women to upgrade their income and their influence while also helping them to upgrade their walk with God. And I am also a mama of 3 babies, 3 girls. I have 2-year-old girl triplets. And I run a pretty successful company. I've built a multi-7-figure annual revenue generating company helping women to reinvent their lives and make money and step into everything God has for them, become who God has always intended them to be, all that jazz. So you can connect with me at marshawn.com/start-here, or you can click the link in my bio. And you can get a free life class with me for limited time because we are going through a whole rebrand and working on some new stuff. So I'm going to get a little bit of breakfast underway here. And I wanted to do an open Q&A. I've got coaching coming up today. Mostly we're doing Q&A today in our Rich Author Academy, which has been phenomenal. I'm so proud of everybody in that group. Hey, Marshawn, the baby's with, yeah, my husband posted that. Yeah, the girls had music noisemakers, as my brother would call them. I think I want some hash browns. I've got some pumpkin spice waffles, an egg frittata, some organic chicken herb breakfast sausage. I think I want some Trader Joe's. So, during these Make Millions Q&As, I kind of just open up the line, if you will, for business questions. So I have pretty premium in terms of coaching by design. I've decided in 2010 that I wanted to be, the Rolls Royce of coaching and maintain that. In that I believe it's important for women of faith, women of color, and just women in general, for us to operate at high levels and to see that as believers, to see, a passion and love for the Holy Spirit while also being strengthened in your business dreams, entrepreneurial endeavors, and not shamed for your ambition at all. So I wanted to open it up for questions. And, one of the most common things that I find in business that helps people to get on the path to making their first $1,000, their first $100,000, and then their first $1 million is really just one thing. And I'm curious what you think it might be. Anybody tried the egg white frittatas from Trader Joe's? Don't sleep. Don't sleep. The refrigerator will be a little softer. What do you think is the number one thing that puts you on the path to making more? Particularly, I think it's true for any business, but particularly for life changers who are turning their insight and their ideas into income. What do you think the number one thing is? Housekeeper is here today. It's my favorite day. Housekeeper is here today. It's a lot of house to clean right now, so. What do you think? Okay, consistency, vision, mindset, faith. Let's go more specific into business terminology. What do you think the number one thing is in terms of a business strategy? I'll ask it more specifically because I forgot I'm asking the saints, right? Or even just asking, sometimes I think men would answer this question very different than women. So as women, we tend to answer it more intuitively, of like what we feel. And this is partly what becomes our blessing blocker. It's both our superpower and it's our kryptonite. And that we have intense emotion, for sure. Let's see, I think it's ready. I think he's ready. We'll see if it needs to cook longer. Definitely needs to cook longer. Take y'all out with me back to the microphone here. What do you think it really is? So what is a strategy, a business strategy, the number one business strategy that you believe you need in order to make more, whether it's your first, adding an extra $1,000, an extra 100K, an extra 7 figures, an extra milli? What's the strategy? Set goals. Okay, so I'm going to help you out because all of these are generic. Scaling is a goal, but how do you scale, right? Iris, come on through. Iris knows what time it is. Yes. I believe that, so someone said attracting more customers. So how do you attract more customers? Right? How do you attract more customers? You attract customers by having something attractive to customers, which is message. Oh, let me get my waffles. Attract more customers by having something that attracts customers. Like, what attracts your customers? And, marketing, these are good answers, but these aren't like specific answers that give you something specific that you can fix. If there isn't something that you can pinpoint that's one thing that is fixable and implementable, then it's generic. It's generic. So I believe that the way you make more is by having people who buy more stuff from you, right? But how do you get people to buy more stuff? You're going to say, well, you need to attract more people who want to buy your stuff. That is also true, but what attracts them? And I believe it's messaging. I believe it's having what I call a magnetic money message. And over the last 12 years, that is, I believe, one of my specialties, and I would say a gift in terms of helping people identify their message, to find their voice, elevate their visibility, then so that they can be heard. But the voice and the message are not exactly the same, but similar. Your message is a statement of the value that you offer, the solution that you provide. And you need to be in front of people who want exactly what it is that you're looking for. Now, tell me what it is that you do. What is it you do in your business? Because I'm going to do I'll do at least one makeover today, a hot seat. Why not? But you got to be, you got to talk. Thanks for the badge. Shout out. So I appreciate that. I'm going to do some free coaching. So if you want to hit it up with badges, I will say thank you. So what do? You don't do realtor. You are a realtor, but that's not what you do. It's the title. That's not what you do. What's the value? Right? So you don't do real estate. Do you provide, like if I was doing real estate, I put people in their dream homes. That's what I do. What's my value? You see the difference in saying I do real estate and I put people in their dream homes? Who you want to work with? Just that fast. Just that fast. Organic maple syrup. You make soap. You don't make soap. You've got to be at least a soap artist, right? You provide, and is it healthy? Like the thing that, it's not what you do, it's the value that what you do provides. Washing my hands. A lot of stuff spread out in the kitchen. I love our kitchen, it's just spread out. Do you see the difference? Like in real estate versus I put people in their dream homes. I don't do coaching. I help women upgrade their income and their influence and also help them upgrade their walk with God. And at the core of what we do, what I do, that, because there's a lot of people out there, like many of you do this, there's a lot of people that help other people, particularly women, make more money. Now, if you see this phrase, helping women of faith, and particularly helping ambitious women of faith, nobody had that phraseology 12 years ago. So it took some time to really understand my demographic, because I didn't start out intending, I had no desire, first of all, to work with women, because men are much easier to work with. I had managed NFL, NBA players, WNBA players, Major League Baseball players. I had the fastest growing women-owned sports agency in the country in less than a year. And I signed the highest paid defensive end in the NFL, $62 million 7-year deal. I had no desire when I had to rebuild my life from calling my wedding off 6 days before. I had no desire to work with women, okay? No desire at all. And so, but that working though, I'm telling you, working with, hold on one second before I get off on a tangent here. The thing, I forgot my point. Why did I tell you about the background? Y'all need to ask me some questions. I do need to warm up before our coaching session later today. What was I talking about? Okay. So, even with my sports agency, there are other people who did sports. I know what my point was. I got 5 points I can make. But with the women thing, I had no desire to work with women. You know, a lot of the things that we're gifted at and that we have superpowers are in areas that we either have wounds or that we didn't even know we have wisdom because we've never stepped into that work. And, but it took, like, in the beginning, I'm coming out of a very traditional paid speaker career, working with companies like Office Depot, Home Depot, Ernst & Young, Delta Airlines. I spent from my 20s traveling around the world, speaking at some of the biggest companies, consulting for them. I was on retainer for 2 years with Delta Airlines. I've had a 9-year contract with HP. So coming out of that space, you know, I didn't have like a female audience per se. So I studied the audience and looked at who was gravitating, not just towards the message of the message is based off of what's the solution, the outcome that you provide. But then what really started to hone in a core target audience was the voice. Your voice is your vision, your value system, and the way that you see what it is that you do, the way that you see your audience. And what I noticed is that there was an underbelly of women of faith who were not being developed in entrepreneurship. And so there are hundreds and hundreds of clients. We've worked with thousands, but there are hundreds now who say their target audience is women of faith. I don't always believe that to be true. I think people pick the audience that they want, but I would have never picked the audience of women of faith. It was obvious that that was the buyer, and the reason that they were buying was because of faith, not because of business, although they wanted business. I remember when I realized this, we were surveying everyone for 2 years. I'm telling you, like, most people borrow other people's experience. So many people, this was my point before I got distracted on the reason I didn't really think I'd ever work with women, because I used to work with athletes. And why, a lot of reasons I didn't. I had a lot of, now it's my passion for sure, but you can't be passionate about something you've never done, and you can't be passionate about something that you feel is a place where you don't even belong. And the work that it took to sit and study and to understand every single yes, to understand people who were investing $1,500 to $3,000 coming to an event, to understand why people, I remember a woman watched a YouTube video, it's still on my YouTube channel, called Spiritually Fit, F-I-T. I can't remember what the F-I-T stood for. But she enrolled in a high-end coaching program. And in our survey, because we surveyed everyone and asked why they come into the door, she said, when I saw the Spiritually Fit video, I knew that Marshawn was my business coach. Now, remind you, back in 2011 or 10 years ago, there were very few women coaches. Nobody into the O to the B-O-D-Y. Nobody was talking about faith in business. It doesn't take that much faith now to be a faith-oriented business coach, because you have examples. But if nobody's done it, all of the business coaches that are out there, nobody's talking about Christ, and nobody has a passion for the Holy Spirit. They may be talking about chakras, crystals, lots of new age garbage. It's going to take a lot of faith to do what you already see done. But if you're like, nobody's done it. So when I say the audience is women of faith, it took effort to dig into that. So when other people say they have an audience of women of faith, it doesn't mean that that is actually the audience that they're assigned to. It's maybe the audience they want. And that was my point in saying I didn't want an audience. I wasn't looking to make money from women of faith. Follow me? I wasn't looking for that. And usually the thing you're called to isn't the thing you're looking for. It's the thing that you're avoiding. It's the audience you're avoiding. And for many people, focusing on women of faith as a core target audience is a comfort zone and may not ever be your profit space. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm saying if you're not willing to do the work to figure it out versus just picking who you think you want. It's like when people say, I don't want to help athletes with public speaking. I'm like, there's not a market for that. There should be, but there isn't. How do I know? I was on retainer with first round draft picks. I mean, my first client, $62 million deal. Thank you, Miss Brenda, for the badge. It's so sweet. I'm on retainer. I'm being paid, and part of the retainer includes public speaking, media training, because that was also my background. I was a coach for Miss America, Miss USA, contestants, state, national, international. I mean, I competed at Miss America. I won interview. People were picking my brain, so I turned that into a coaching business. I didn't even call it, I maybe called it coaching. See some of the cleaning supplies? I love it. I'll probably hear some vacuums going. But every time I go down history lane, I forget what I'm saying. It's loud. I like being in my kitchen. It's a little loud right now. Somebody help me. What did I just say? Why did I mention about the Miss America thing? Working with people, pick my brain. That's how I got started in coaching. It's how I paid my way through law school. But what's the point? What was my point? Whew. I don't remember. Y'all gotta help me. Hey, Rachel. I forgot. Here's the thing. I don't know exactly where I was going with that. It was probably a great place because anywhere I divert to, it's like good. I believe that. Okay, so here's what you think you want. Thank you. Come through, Charisse. Or Cherished Crown, sorry. I gave you a whole name. Cherished Crown. Here's the thing. You think that this is the audience you want. And you're just going to pick them. And people will say, I want to do media training for athletes. I know that there's not an audience for... It's going to be really narrow. And most people think, well, athletes need this, so therefore I'll create this business. Okay? Here's the deal. I created the business, and the way I got into managing athletes was through communication training. Today we would call it branding, but nobody used the phrase branding back then. I was 21. I think 20 or 20, about 20 maybe when I competed at Miss America. Everyone was picking my brain. I started, helping Miss America, Miss USA contestants, and then politicians. I was Miss District of Columbia, so I was in the DC area. And when I would travel to Texas, people would fill my schedule up back to back to back all day. Booking sessions, and I was helping people with their platform titles, which today would be messaging. I'm doing it a long time. I didn't know it was a gift. It was a way to pay my way through law school, though. I went to Georgetown 100% debt-free, 0 loans, and I got scholarships, all academic, and I worked as a coach. And then I charged $35 an hour in the beginning, maybe $100 to come to a half-day workshop. And I got to a point, I think, where maybe I was doing late, like at the end, where it still wasn't worth my time to do $250 for an hour. I was about to start at my law firm, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm making 6 figures there, the schedule there, you know, I'm speaking. If I'm speaking, I'm going to be making 5 to 10 grand. So I stopped doing that then. But the way I got into sports was I started helping athletes because I thought that's what they needed. But once I got some bookings for athletes, NFL, NBA players, mostly NFL players at the time, after I got a booking for them, they're like, well, what's next? And then how can I get better with it? So I started that, but after I started signing clients and my business was growing, nobody showed up for media training, and I'm being paid for it. But they weren't paying me for that as the core. They were paying me for brand management, business management, and expanding their profile overall. So it was more important for them to get the booking than to be trained for the booking. Now, I was really vigilant about my clients and their image. I mean, everything from when we had celebrity charity weekends, planning 7 events in the course of a weekend, like for one athlete, and we got athletes. We got easily sometimes $500 million or more on one bus with athletes, right? I taught myself this whole business. And in that, when we're planning all of these events and putting all of this together, I'm being paid for their brand management and expansion and all those things. And that was more important than being trained for the booking. But in those weekends, I looked at everything. I was like, what are you wearing this weekend? They used to call me the General. Anybody used to be a New Orleans Saints fan, Deuce McAllister, he's the one who gave me that name. He said, General, she's the General. And I just ran a tight ship. I knew from my lawyer training, I digress, and then I digress, and then I digressed again. So I thought I knew what the athletes needed, but it wasn't what they were going to pay for. So there's no way, right? There's no way to just cherry pick your audience without living and breathing in their mind, living and breathing in their problem and in their pain point and in their struggle. 12 years in, there is not a person, there is not a marketer, there is not a person who does Facebook ads. There is not a publisher with a marketing team. There is not a person on the planet who can tell me more about you than I already know about you because I've been studying you and in the trenches with you for 12 years. So when I say helping women of faith, it is not a marketing strategy. It is an understanding of women who are working to be in step with the Holy Spirit. I know what I mean when I say that. But what is cheap is if you just pick that term because it sounds good, and right now it's used as a marketing tool. You've got it, which I've talked about this as well, as why is it so cheap for people to purchase your attention if you're really led by the Holy Spirit? Just because someone says they're a believer and they pull out a scripture, are you not able to discern that? Discern the level of depth of what that means. Because when you get understanding, the word understand literally means to stand under, and you need to be cognizant of who you stand under. Some people will utilize Bible, but they will also be into a lot of other spiritual garbage and mixing and blending that. If you're standing under that, you're receiving that. The phrase ambitious women of faith, that took me years to understand. It wasn't just those who were believers, but it was ambition. It was the believer who wanted more, who was desiring more, but who was shamed for it. So you see people use these phrases now. Many of them have borrowed it and have taken it. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It's part of, it's not that no one you own a phrase if you trademark it. I can't say no one owns it. That's not true. But the question is, if you want to attract more and make more, you want to attract more clients, you want to make more money, You want to have more impact. Do you have a view of your audience, or do you know your audience? And it is you, until then, you're experimenting with messaging. You're experimenting. And it doesn't matter whether I've taught, I'm not going to pull this whole deck stack over here. Peek the artwork by the triplets. Peek the artwork. But I'll just kind of come over here. So I have this stack of products still from when we did our Rich Author Academy. But it doesn't matter if it's our Attract Sponsors, if it's Find Your Purpose, Find Your Voice, Media Secrets, Brilliant Branding, which is a fantastic course. It's got 6 different topics in one. Prayer, the Focus Me Challenge. I can't wait to do this again. Focus Me Refresher. Sometimes I'm not sure even how to bring all of this or unleash more. Whether it's speaking, media training, brand strategy, positioning, this also goes into working with corporations, social messaging in terms of positioning, getting published. It doesn't matter whether it's been at our Speak for Pay, our Make Millions coaching training. It doesn't matter whether it's our current thing right now with our Rich Author Academy, which was an experiment. It all comes down to messaging of, can you meet somebody where they're at? Can you meet somebody with what they really need, as opposed to just, I don't give courses. I don't do courses. Like, what's the point of a course? I don't want to take a course. I'm not getting up in the middle of the night saying, I want to take a course. I don't want to read somebody's story. Nobody wants to read your story. That's not a message. And it's not about, nobody wants your stuff and nobody wants your story. Let's just keep it all the way real. What people want is what their heart desires, and where they're struggling, or where they know that they have something that they may not always be able to articulate it. So the question is, I've asked, what is the number one thing that you need in order to make more, attract more clients? You need a message, and your message needs some depth. And until you get that, you're just experimenting, which is great. You got to start somewhere. And so I started with the best place to start. And here's my piece of advice. Nobody's asked me a question, and it's a whole Q&A. Appreciate the badges. It's so sweet. Nobody has asked me a question, but the way you start is by focusing on solid outcomes, not emotion, not feeling, but outcome. Because here's the deal. I know a lot of spiritually gifted people. I know a lot of great people who are great with oration. They've got great speaking skills. They can tell a great story. There are a lot of people who are even great at helping people, but they're not great at communicating how they help them. And I meet some people who are so gifted in terms of even just Bible teaching or mindset teaching, but the reason why they can't grow is because they don't have depth in being able to point, what does that gift do in terms of a solid outcome? So the reason why, if you go, like for our Speaking and Coaching Accelerator, if you go to marshawn.com/SCA, that class is not actually, that program, that accelerator is not actually open right now, our Speaking and Coaching Accelerator. But if you go there, you will not see Bible talk on there. You won't see that. You know what you're going to see? You're going to see that it says, we're going to show you how to make, $250,000, like $250K in the next 90 days as a speaker and building a high-end speaking and coaching business. Let me say, what is our value? I haven't been talking about that. So the value proposition for Speaking Coaching Accelerator is how to build a high-end speaking and coaching business. The specific focus is helping you to put everything you need in place to be able to generate an extra $250,000 in the next 90 days. That's what that's the outcome. That's the outcome. And if the outcome is solid, then people will be able to trust your voice in terms of your vision of how you see things. So I think a voice, not just as something of how, not average. I have a whole class on voice called Find Your Voice. 6 hours. I've been a student of words, messaging. My first company, as I was telling you all about, was called Communication Council, and I was coaching Miss America, Miss USA contestants and politicians. And I basically reinvented that, turned it into a sports agency, and it became so much bigger than that. It wasn't just about the training. It was about the activation. It was about putting athletes in position to expand their voice. And it is the work of my life. It's still what I'm doing, whatever you call it. Because, you know the number, this is the last, I don't know. I didn't mean to talk about it this way for you all today, but I'm just going to keep going. The number of women, and I love every DM. I do. I love every DM. I'm still always in awe and amazed at how a book that's not about business has birthed thousands of businesses. Book with a story about, so when I say helping women of faith to upgrade their income and their influence, I mean women of faith. I mean women who God is calling into something greater, richer, deeper, wider, higher. I know what I mean. When you talk about your audience, do you know what you mean by that? Or did you borrow a phrase that you saw someone else do because they were clear and you borrow someone else's clarity? It's a hollow word that means nothing unless you know what that audience is, because you'll never be able to enter the conversation that's already happening in their mind if you don't enter into their mind, into what they wrestle with, into what they really want. And here's when you become an expert, is when you can really explain why they don't have it, what's really missing. So I have a total of one question. So I'm going to take this one in the Q&A. Oh, it says no questions yet, but then, it went away. Someone erased it. Let's see, what are other ways those of us that help people find their dream homes can communicate our messages other than on social media? Well, you want to go where your clients are. So social media is great because there's a lot of free ways to be able to do that. But the goal isn't not trying to find your audience. You don't go find clients. If you're doing social media correctly, your clients are finding you. I will give you one practical tip. You can certainly ask for referrals. You ask for referrals. It's one of the best ways to launch anything and to accelerate anything. But you need to think about, where are my clients at? Where are they? And yes, I can go to them, but what would make them come to me? Look at other people who have a flood of clients who are coming to them. The realtor who listed the house that we sold before we moved into this home, she wasn't our realtor for this house because it was a special circumstance. This house wasn't even on the market. It's another faith story for another day. But the realtor who listed her home, I reached out to her because I felt she had an expertise, felt she would move this house quickly. And also I was very cognizant of having 3 girls that were, they were probably about 1.5 years old. And I didn't want a long sales window. I didn't want the thing of having to deal with people coming in and out of my house and it was not practical to have somebody say at the last minute that they wanted to come look at our home. Wasn't doing that. And she had a strategy on how to sell our house quickly in a weekend, and we sold our house in a weekend. So you need to know, why does someone need to find you? Not so that you can sell more houses. What is it that you do for your clients that helps them to get not just the end result? Yeah, people want to either buy or sell a house. But what is it that you do that creates your clientele base? I saw her sell a house in our neighborhood in a weekend. I loved how she did it. I watched it. And she specialized in our area. We had the highest selling house. We purchased the highest selling house for our zip code when we bought it in 2014. And at the time that we sold it for I think another house has gone high since then, since we left in September. But she specialized in our area. I knew she would help us get the top dollar. We went way above what the comps would dictate. So that's what I was looking for. Do you know, people are not looking for a realtor. They're looking for another solution that will help them. Like, there's got to be something. You need to know your hook. You got to know your hook. A couple more questions. Thank you for those sweet words on Timberland Drive. I'm at a stage where God is awakening me to launch my coaching company to help women find healing, get rooted in identity in Christ, mindset makeover. How do I begin to position myself? Outcomes. How do you? I love the question. How do you do that? How do you become a woman of influence? Outcomes. What's in it for them? Nobody cares what you want to do. They only really care of what you will be able to do for them, showcase for them, demonstrate for them. I talk about money very directly and openly because I want to model what most women don't see. Like, I just talk about it really directly. As I've gotten also more into cryptocurrency very heavily, and I've been working more behind the scenes to put together an opportunity for women to step in. I won't give too much away, for women to step into that space. We don't get into it because we don't see someone who looks like us, who believes like us doing it, and we just think it's off on the side or something. We see Paris Hilton buying NFTs. We see these boys, these guys buying apes. We don't see it. So you become influential multiple ways, but one of the things is people are visual, and their eye gate invites them into a new world. And so is there anything that people will be drawn to what they see, and they will be drawn to what they see you do, but what they see you do for other people. That's how you become influential. And in the beginning, nobody has any customers in the beginning. Maybe you have some free customers. They can give you your first testimonials. Right? Make sure I'm not missing. I'm gonna tell you one thing is the awesome thing is residual income. I can't wait for this new thing I want to share because it's another topic. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about in terms of launching, but you can ask whatever you want. It's the Make Millions Q&A, right? There are things that I still get a check from every single month from 2011 from being an affiliate for software. I just think it's amazing. Sometimes I just think it's amazing that we work harder as opposed to strategicer. Not even smarter, strategicer. Strategic-er. Be strategicer. It's a new word. You heard it first here today. Okay, these are great questions. Hi, Tanika. What is the best way to build credibility when standing out? Everyone answer for me. Outcomes. It's the only thing that matters. It is an equalizer. Outcomes. I mean, I've helped people get their first bookings as a speaker with zero platform. But their outcome, clarity of messaging. This is the whole point. Money messaging. The way that you make more is you have more people buy your stuff. How do you have more people buy your stuff? You need to be in front of the people who buy what you sell. How do you get them in front of you is that you have a message that is magnetic, right? A magnetic message. We have a course, I have a training called Money Messaging and Magnetic Messaging that is also monetizable. A lot of people, and I've seen this, I had a friend who had a launch, and she launched something that had great turnout in terms of people who were interested, but very poor conversion. And just because it's magnetic doesn't mean it's a magnetic message, doesn't mean it's a money message. And this is because most people don't understand how to speak the language of outcome. And that's where you really want to become a master. Now, if this is resonating with any of you all, I'm not making, should I? I could. I could make an offer. I just want to tell you, but one of the best things that you want to do is be on my email list at marshawn.com/start-here. Link is also in my bio. Because I am really grateful to God for his grace and patience and persistency with me. And the fresh things that he has given in my mind that I am working to architect into a new decade of identity for a company to usher people into, because there's so much of the same out there. I don't do that well. But the best place to be on the list and to know about that, to learn about the crypto opportunity that I'll be inviting women into, not just a singular thing, but something that will, a space for you to be in this whole world. I didn't know someone was coming in my office. And business programs, life programs, our Destiny Collective, we're going to be opening up again soon. It's best to go to marshawn.com/start-here. I had a feeling, I just felt my assistant was about to text me. That's why I looked down at my phone. Confirming meeting format. So I need to go. I've got coaching in 55 minutes for Rich Author Academy. Podcast confirmed for next week. I think I've done one podcast this year. I've pulled back on all of that. It's just so hard to fit those things in. It's just the schedule is busy every day. No, if you're already on the email list, you don't need to sign up again. Not at all. But just make sure you get our emails, like that we're on your safe sender list. Hey, Abby, how are you? Let me see. I think there was another question that I missed, and I'll take that question before we... How do you get started when what? Oh, when you have so many ideas at once. You pick one. For women, having multiple ideas is a challenge because we're nurturers and we give birth. And it's like if you're pregnant with multiples, you want all of them. And that's what your multi-passionate is. It's the spiritual impregnation of ideation. You've got ideas. And you don't want to let one go because you feel like you're not allowing one to come to full life. So I hope that helps you to understand why you wrestle with that and that you're not alone in that. But in that, and look, I've said this for years before I actually had multiples, before I birthed 3 children in 6 minutes. I will always say it that way because I'm always amazed that happened. Hey, B Tizzle, Brian Tippins, my brother, B, how are you? I told y'all, remember, here's a fact check moment. Remember somewhere in this broadcast where I said I've worked with HP for like 9 years? There's Brian. He was the one who, if you read Believe Bigger, what page are you on, Brian? Sometimes I remember the exact page. But I talk about when I was reinventing my life, how HP, but really a person. It wasn't HP, it was a person. It was Brian. It was August the 13th, 2010 to be exact, where they agreed to sponsor the very first Me University. And so I call Brian the godfather of our business, our company, because someone believed and also invested. And the cool thing, you want to talk about real game, is how at first when I put the sponsorship deck together, he's like, no, we've got other things, but let's stay in touch. That was the only window I had. And then I put together, I said, well, what about in kind? He said he had no money to give us, which is what everybody says. Watch the story unfold here, y'all. I put together a sponsorship deck for in kind, and then I included in it a very modest sponsorship amount that was cash, in addition to the product. And Brian, now y'all, this is not how you want to talk about someone at a major corporation, very important. Brian's just become like my brother, so you don't want to go up to someone you just met and start calling them B. We designed his logo, though. If you see his logo, I used to have a design arm inside of the company. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Brian was at my wedding. He has gifted my daughters the changing table that they still get changed on. And I think he bought us Bjorn. I think he was definitely like godfather to them. Like he definitely. So you become friends with people you work with. That's why I love my clients too. If I could just show you what my inbox looks like just from this morning of what clients have shared in terms of appreciation and thanks, it's just a beautiful thing. So it's good to see you here. You know I love you and appreciate you and will always honor you. I believe in honoring people. I think it's a lost spiritual art. I just think it's lost. But of course, in similar fashion as to how today is gone, I continue to forget what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna Abby, it was cool. I remember when we had that VIP day. It was interesting when Abby and I first had a power hour session. We were talking about her software company, but we spent the first part of it talking about believing bigger and overcoming kind of, you know, split rock moments that come into your personal life, but fixing those things expanded and exploded business. I just think it's important to become good at your craft. What's up, Amy? What's up? I heard you had a good session yesterday. How can people push past the mental block stopping them from monetizing in ministry? Oh, Lord. Let's have a whole nother session. First of all, the question is loaded. It's a broken question, and I love that you asked it. But it's a broken question. Because you said, how do I monetize in ministry? It is not the purpose of ministry to monetize. Hi, Anya. Hey, Dr. Anya. Dr. Anya is another example. When she was in our speaking and coaching accelerator, we were talking about messaging. My favorite time is about to come up in 1 minute. We were talking about messaging, and she is a... Dr. Anya, can you tell me the exact title? I know you help with babies. Is it pulmonary? Pediatric pulmonary physician? I always think that pulmonary is hearts, but it's lungs. To remember that. When I realized what she did, this moment in our session, the breath, although it was virtual, you could hear pediatric respirologist and sleep medicine. Hi.
You need things, hi?
Are you just need to vacuum or do you need to wipe down?
They both.
Okay, I'll trade with you. I'll do this now so that I thought they were already in here. That's all good. Thank you. Sorry. No, it's okay. Appreciate it. So this is my last example. Floor's wet. Dr. Anya, pediatric respirologist and sleep medicine doctor. When she started to describe what she did, I saw my daughter, my youngest one, in my heart. I saw her when we were in the hospital, and she was on one of those, I think they call it a CPAP machine, where, I wasn't able to hold her for the first week. I put my finger, and on the first day I could hold my first and second daughters. They laid on my chest. But, we're in the NICU, and as Dr. Anya was explaining who she worked with, and I said, you don't help, I forgot what she said she did. It was a very medical terminology. Here's what I do. And I said, you help babies breathe. You help baby. And I was like, you are the person, you would have been the type of person who made sure my daughter was okay when I felt when the Holy Spirit said it. So to me, the way the Holy Spirit speaks when it comes to this messaging thing, it's not just a message, it's a mission, it's a mantle. It's an understanding of kind of both the eternal and significance of where you're meeting people in their lives right now to be a part of this bigger plan of God. And it just took the whole breath out of the broadcast, like out of the training that day. When I said, you help babies breathe. My eyes welled up with tears. I think everybody's did. And your real voice and your real mission and message many will reject it at first, the same way that most will reject calling and mission and assignment, right? Because it's scary, it's intimidating, it's bigger than what you initially thought, But now I'm hearing them upstairs yell at the top of their lungs. Like, no, you help babies breathe. You help babies breathe. So I hope that this has been insightful for you today to think about messaging, to think about when I think about making more, I think about mission. Always think about mission. How am I solving either more problems or a problem in a better way? In a better way. Dr. Anya says, yes, goosebumps remembering that. That was truly a life-altering moment for me. Yes, to bigger than what I initially thought. Yeah. It is like that for each of you. I'm a retired pediatric surgical step-down nurse. Someone else says, I work for a CPAP provider. Yep, a CPAP provider. So, look, I hope that you'll connect on my website at marshawn.com/start-here. Link is in the bio. And for those of you who are speakers or desiring to speak, I'm going to just put this link in here where you can, I don't have a coaching program, live one, but this has been a place where people have gotten speaker course. Marshawn.com/speaker course. It's called the Getting Started System for Speakers. I'd go grab it if they weren't in my office cleaning right now and show it to you. But it's really a place to learn how to get started as a speaker. My current class that I'm about to be coaching in 43 minutes for our Rich Author program is about a $6,500 class. Speaking of Coaching Accelerator is $3,500. My masterminds have been anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000, and a 1 hour hot seat, a 1 hour power hour, I only do those maybe a couple times a month, is $2,000. So this class is $247, and again, it's called the Getting Started System for Speakers, and it's a great place to get started with finding your voice, but turning that voice into a message that you can be paid to start talking. Many of you asked, how can you attract people? Well, I believe that speaking is the most powerful income attraction tool on the planet. It also is a way to elevate your influence and your impact and to magnetically attract clients. And this is really the time when things go down, when the recession goes down, this is when experts and voices that actually have substance and knowledge will make the most. I've seen it. It's my belief state. And so, Marshawn.com. Let's see. Can I post my own? Yep. Marshawn.com. Write it down. /speaker course. And it's $247. It's enough to get you to pay attention and to finish and implement. And it's a great place to get started. So for those of you who are like, wow, I don't just want to wait for something to come out later. That's something that I have right now that is something you can get access to and you can get started on today if you like. And now also is a great time because virtual speaking engagements have just taken on a whole new world where you can speak at home and be paid to speak either on stages or virtually as well. And this will help you to put together all the things that you need, help you to get on the right path for that. Okay? So I hope y'all enjoyed today, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of the week. My family is coming into town, so I'm super excited. Oh, you had your first speaking gig. Yay, about to get a paid gig. That's fantastic. Yay, 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 yay. Awesome. All right, take care. God bless everyone. Bye.